Top 10 Mysteries of the Bible. The Bible is a wellspring of inerrant truth to over 1 billion people, yet with a book, or all the more in a real sense a bunch of books, of this age. Theory emerges regarding the realities contained therein. This rundown takes a gander at a portion of the recorded mysteries and surprisingly a portion of the theological mysteries contained in the Bible. These are for the most part topics which interest scriptural researchers and laymen the same. 10 Sacred Goal. The secret. Where is the Holy Grail? As per Christian folklore, the Holy Grail was the dish, plate, or cup utilized by Jesus at the Last Supper, said to have wonderful forces. The association of Joseph of Arimathea with the Grail legend dates from the late 12th century, in which Joseph gets the Grail from a specter of Jesus and sends it with his devotees to Great Britain. Faith in the Grail and interest in its potential whereabouts has never stopped. Proprietorship has been credited to different gatherings, counting the Knights Templar, presumably on the grounds that they were at the pinnacle of their impact around the time that Grail stories began coursing. There are cups professed to be the Grail in a few houses of worship, for example the St. Mary of Valencia Cathedral, which contains an antiquity, the Holy Chalice, presented above. Note, just the top cup, divide is unique, as far as anyone knows, taken by St. Peter to Rome in the primary century, and afterward to Huesca in Spain by St. Lawrence in the 3rd century. The Valencia cup holds some legitimacy as a competitor for the genuine vessel, as it has been deductively stated to have been made between the 4th century BC and the primary century AD in the Middle East. Other stories guarantee that the Grail is covered underneath Rosslyn Chapel or lies somewhere down in the spring at Glastonbury Tor. Then again, other stories guarantee that a mysterious line of genetic defenders keep the Grail, or that it was covered up by the Templars in Oak Island, Nova Scotia's popular cash pit. Presently. 9 Ark of the Covenant. The secret. Where is the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant is a compartment portrayed in the Bible as containing the tablets of stone on which were recorded the 10 Commandments, just as Aaron's bar and sustenance. The Ark was kept in Jerusalem until the Babylonians looted and annihilated the sanctuary. From that point, the Ark entered the space of legend as it disappeared for eternity. A portion of the theories for where it very well might be are: intentional disguise by the ministers under the Temple Mount, intentional expulsion from Jerusalem ahead of the Babylonians, and removal of the Ark by the Ethiopian sovereign Menelik I. Current unearthings close to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem have discovered passages, yet burrowing underneath the Temple Mount is vigorously limited. Perhaps the main Islamic places of worship, the Dome of the Rock, sits in the area where the first Temple of Solomon is claimed to have stood. As per the Bible, King Solomon, when fabricating the sanctuary, had the Ark of the Covenant put on a stage which could be dropped down into a passage framework if the temple were at any point invaded. This would make it a conceivable area. 8 Sodom and Gomorrah. The secret. Were they genuine urban areas, and if so, where? Right. For the wrongdoings of their occupants, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim were annihilated by brimstone and fire from the Lord out of paradise. Genesis chapter 19 verses 24 to 25. In Christianity and Islam, their names have gotten inseparable from uncontrite sin, and their fall with a famous sign of God's anger. The authentic presence of Sodom and Gomorrah is as yet in question by archeologists. The Bible shows they were situated close to the Dead Sea. Potential possibilities for Sodom or Gomorrah are the locales found or visited by Walter E. Rast and R. Thomas Schaub in 1973, including Bab eth Dhra, which was initially uncovered in 1965 by paleontologist Paul Lapp. Other prospects additionally incorporate Numera, Es Safi, Fife and Khanazir, which were likewise visited by Schaub and Rast. All destinations were situated close to the Dead Sea, with proof of consuming and hints of sulfur on a considerable lot of the stones, and an unexpected stop of inhabitation towards the finish of the early Bronze Age. 7 Garden of Eden. The secret. Where is the Garden of Eden? While most biblical researchers and theologians consider that the account of the Garden of Eden is doubtlessly not exacting, a few group do accept that the spot existed as a general rule. Furthermore, the Bible offers bearings to the area. This has prompted numerous endeavors to find the nursery. The creation story in Genesis relates the geological area of both Eden and the nursery to 4 streams: Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, Euphrates, and 3 areas: Havilah, Assyria, and Cush. There are hypotheses that spot Eden at the headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates, northern Mesopotamia, in Iraq, Mesopotamia, Africa, and the Persian Gulf. While the genuine area is a secret, there is an especially captivating turn to this story. Ethiopia is referenced as being close or encompassing the Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter 2 verse 13, and the name of the subsequent waterway is Gian. The equivalent is it that compasseth all the place where there is Ethiopia. Since 1974, paleontologists have uncovered 6 million years of life and infer that Ethiopia is the logical area of human beginning, an experimentally obvious Garden of Eden. 6 Bible codes. The secret. The Bible seems to contain coded messages. Is this an occurrence? The Bible code, otherwise called the Torah code, is a progression of messages asserted to exist inside the Bible content, that when decoded structure words and expressions evidently exhibiting premonition and prescience. The examination and results from this code have been advocated by the book The Bible Code. The essential strategy by which purportedly significant messages have been extricated is the equidistant letter sequence, else. To get an else from a book, pick a beginning stage, on a fundamental level, any letter, and a skirt number, additionally openly and perhaps negative. Then, starting at the beginning stage, select letters from the content at equivalent dispersing as given by the avoid number. For instance, the strong letters in this sentence structure an else. With a skip of 4, and disregarding the spaces and accentuation, the word safest is explained in reverse. Bible codes defenders generally utilize a Hebrew Bible book. The utilization and publication of predictions, based on Bible codes has succeeded in bringing about popular awareness of the codes, most notably based on the work of journalist Michael Drosnin. Drosnin's most famous prediction, in 1994, was the 1995 assassination of Israeli Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin, using a Bible code technique. 5 The Lost Tribes. The secret. What happened to the lost clans? The expression 10 lost tribes of Israel alludes to the antiquated tribes of Israel that vanished from the biblical record after the kingdom of Israel was annihilated, subjugated and banished by Old Assyria. Numerous gatherings of Jews have regulations concerning the proceedings with covered-up presence or future public return of these clans. This is a subject that is incompletely founded on authenticated and reported chronicled truth, mostly upon composed strict custom and somewhat upon hypothesis. There have been some unusual cases about who might have plummeted from the lost clans. A few cases incorporate the Irish, Native Americans, British, and the Japanese. The Kaifeng Jews, presented above, in China guarantee to be dropped from one of the lost clans. The Pharaoh of Exodus. The secret. Who was the Pharaoh of the Exodus? The Pharaoh of the Exodus is the Pharaoh, ruler, who governed throughout antiquated Egypt at the hour of the Exodus. All the more exactly, it is the subject of who this Pharaoh may have been. The narrative of the oppression of the children of Israel in Egypt, the diseases by which God powers their delivery, and their resulting escape from a seeking after armed force at the crossing of the Red Sea, is told in the initial sections of the book of Exodus. The Pharaoh of the story isn't named. He is alluded to just as Pharaoh, and the topic of his personality has been the subject of much hypothesis among the individuals who accept the Exodus to be a genuine occasion. The most regularly envisioned figure in mainstream society is Ramesses the Great, in spite of the fact that there is no narrative or archaeological proof that he needed to manage the plagues of Egypt or anything comparable, or that he pursued Hebrew slaves escaping Egypt. There is additionally a record made by Merneptah, as a sonnet from the alleged Israel Stele, which makes reference to the alleged utter annihilation of Israel in a mission preceding his 5th year in Canaan. Israel has been cleared out, its seed is no more. There is essentially no proof to firmly uphold the perspective on a particular pharaoh as the one referenced in Exodus. 3 Noah's Ark. The secret. Where is Noah's Ark? From In Any Event the Hour of Eusebius, c. 275-339, add. To the current day, the quest for the actual remaining parts of Noah's Ark has held an interest for Christians, Jews and Muslims. In spite of numerous tales, cases of sightings and endeavors, no logical proof of the Ark has at any point been found. The quest for the Ark has been known as a pointless pursuit by certain archaeologists. Ark searchers have had little to control them to the Ark past Genesis notice of the mountains of Ararat. By the center of the 19th century, archaeologists had recognized a first 1000 years BC realm and district of Urartu, contemporaneous with the Assyrian domain and the early realms of Judah and Israel, situated in the mountains of present-day Armenia and eastern Turkey. Not until the 19th century was the district adequately settled, and inviting enough for Westerners, to make it feasible for huge campaigns to look for the Ark. By the start of the 21st century, two primary contenders for investigation had arisen. The alleged Ararat peculiarity, presented above, close to the fundamental highest point of Ararat, and inconsistency, in that it shows on ethereal and satellite pictures as a dull imperfection on the snow and ice of the pinnacle, and the different site at Durab. NAR close to Dagabayazit, 18 miles, 29 kilometers, south of the greater Ararat culmination. Here is a fascinating article on the latest revelation of frozen wood suspected to be important for one of the dividers of the boat. The beloved disciple. The secret. Who is the beloved disciple? Probably the greatest secret in scriptural grant concerns the character of the devotee whom Jesus adored. According to the Gospel of John, this was the pupil who inclined toward Jesus during the Last Supper, and the solitary male supporter present at the tortoise killing. Furthermore, John chapter 21 verse 24 suggests that the whole Gospel of John depends on this present supporter's recollections. However, strangely, it never gives his name. The other three accounts don't give his name either. Truth be told, they never at any point notice this cherished disciple, as he is often called. They likewise say nothing regarding any devotee inclining toward Jesus during the Last Supper or seeing the tortoise killing. Their absolute quietness on the matter just adds to the secret. Various researchers have contended that the beloved disciple was Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha of Bethany, and the man that Jesus raised from the dead. The justification for this is the way that when the sisters called Jesus to help Lazarus, they said, "Master, the one you love is debilitated." Some cutting-edge theories even claim that Mary Magdalene was the beloved disciple, a thought which would absolutely dazzle Dan Brown. Source: 2 Initiation of the Gospels. The secret. Who composed the Gospels? The accounts are presumably the main piece of the New Testament, and until the 18th century their initiation was for the most part not viewed as a secret. However, as current scriptural researchers examined the historical backdrop of the 4 books, they started to scrutinize the way that they were composed by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There is a lot of hypothesis, for the most part dependent on the request for the composition of the books, that the accounts were composed by individuals who know the messengers, yet not by the witnesses straightforwardly. This is a secret that is probably not going to be addressed except if an ACE source archive for the normal statements in the accounts is found, which would clarify the oddities which are discussed on the side of the non-biblical creation theories.